Hey friends, it's 8 o'clock, so I am going to go ahead and get started. My name is Amy Welch, and I want to thank you for joining us tonight on our Gut Health for Life event. 5 years ago, I didn't know anything about gut health. In fact, I was an executive working in government affairs. I'm an author, and I thought a leaky gut was something that didn't apply to me. But like myself, for a majority of people, we do not realize the connection that our gut health has to a lot of the things that we're dealing with and a lot of things that we might think are actually normal. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to kind of do a deep dive into gut health, what the microbiome is, why it's so important for our long-term health and wellness. We're going to talk about the connection to immunity and a lot of health issues that a lot of us suffer from, many things we think are normal. We're going to talk about where our microbiome comes from, how it gets out of balance, and some things we can do to get it back in balance. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen. And while I'm in this mode, I won't necessarily see your chat. So if you have any questions, let me know and I will address them afterwards. All right. Oh, and it says I'm Sarah Taylor. That's because I'm using her account. I should change it to say my name, but that's okay. So I will tell you really quickly, I want to talk quickly about the power of gut health, because right now there is a whole bunch of talk in the media in this day and age that we live in about this crazy pandemic, right? But there is zero talk. I just recently saw one news article that finally came out just yesterday, actually, but there's no talk about immunity, overall wellness, prevention, and taking that kind of hard stance on preventative health. And a lot of that rests in your gut. And there are a lot of things we do just because of modern day life that we have zero control over that affects our gut health that we don't even realize. And I started this about 5 years ago, really learning about gut health. And it's kind of become my passion to share with people the power that our gut has, the science that's out there, and the research. So here we go. I want to quickly though talk about who is Plexus, because we are the gut health company. We started talking about gut health years before it was even something that doctors were starting to look at, that became an issue in like mainstream society. So we were founded in 2008. We're based out of Scottsdale, Arizona. That's a picture of our corporate headquarters. I like to show that so people realize like we are an actual place and building. I've been there several times. My husband has actually been to corporate headquarters. We are a debt-free company. This is huge because many companies are not debt-free. I worked for years. So I've written books on crime scene investigation. I worked for those agencies. I've worked in higher education. We didn't even operate debt-free. Most companies kind of operate in the red. That's what they do. So for us to be a privately held debt-free company, even after we purchased that building, it says a lot, not only for our stability and our ethics and integrity, but also for our products, because if our products did not work, we would certainly not be debt-free. We're the 23rd largest direct selling company globally. And that's huge because we're only in 4 markets right now. We're only in the US, Mexico, Canada, and Australia. I love that we are holistic and we're based in science. I'm married to a scientist, so that's like being married to a professional skeptic. We have 2 holistic MDs on staff, 10 scientists on staff. Our products are all developed in-house, meaning we own the patents, we own the science, we own the research, and they're all plant-based. They're GMO free, they're holistic. Many of them are vegetarian or vegan. And the thing that was important to me when I started, when I placed my first order, was that there were no chemicals in them. So there's no dyes, there's no preservatives, there are no artificial sweeteners. That was really important to me and my family. And then all of our products are made in the USA. And we also, this question comes up, so you see the little note down there. We actually do not test on animals either. We have a cruelty-free promise. specifically too with our skincare, that we do not test on animals, nor do we source from anyone who would ever test on animals. So I just want you to know what the Plexus Promise is, because as we get into gut health and we talk about how Plexus can help with your gut health, I want you to feel confident in our company, and I want you to know how different we are from everything else that's out there. So we do have the Plexus Promise, and that is that we're pure, we're potent, and we're guaranteed. And this is really important, right? People order vitamins off of Amazon, they grab them off the shelf at Walmart or Target. You have no idea what you're getting. And I used to do that. I didn't know. I mean, before Plexus, I took a prenatal vitamin and I bought it off of Amazon because it was convenient. And I had no idea where that stuff came from or where it was sourced from. So with the Plexus Promise, you know that we are pure. We work hand in hand with the FDA, and we take it a step further to do third-party independent FDA-approved testing. So you know that what we say is on the bottle is in the bottle, and it's at the purest levels. We also are potent, meaning if you look at some of our, let's say our multivitamin, the ingredients that are in that multivitamin are potent, meaning they are at clinically tested levels to give you results or to give you what your body needs to actually absorb and to function and use, right? Oftentimes, you might be able to go replicate the ingredients that are in our vitamin, but not at the purity and the potency level. We use a lot of extracts, we use a lot of clinically tested levels, and that is just not something you can get from other companies out there. So I love that we're pure, that we're potent, and we're also guaranteed, my friends. That's why I say it's a huge deal that we are debt-free, because we have a 60-day money-back guarantee. I'll be honest, I was such a skeptic. That's the only reason I ordered Plexus in the beginning, because I thought, well, guess what? I don't think it's going to work. I've tried, I suffer from an autoimmune disease. I have thyroid disease. I'm in my 40s. I've had it since I was in my 20s. I've tried everything out there just to feel better and to lose some weight. And I thought this was just going to be another thing that I wasted my money on. But because it had that money back guarantee, I put in my phone on my calendar like day 59 that I was going to return it. Well, guess what? I didn't. And that was almost 6 years ago. But I love that we have that money back guarantee. So it's risk-free, right? And that also shows that if our products did not work, because not only is it a 60-day money back risk-free guarantee, it's hassle-free. It's so easy to get your money back. We would be broke if our products did not work. We certainly would not be debt-free. So I just really want you to know who we are before we start talking about the microbiome, gut health. So we are going to talk about the root of many, many diseases. And guys, I encourage you to do your own research. Do a Google Scholar research. Look for articles from Harvard and other peer-reviewed journals around the microbiome, around gut health, because it either controls or is in correlation to almost everything. Weight loss, inflammation, digestive issues like IBS, Crohn's, colitis, blood sugar stabilization, hormone imbalance, skin issues, if you have eczema, psoriasis, allergies, both seasonal and food allergies. My husband's completely went away once he started healing his gut, cravings, sleep, autoimmune disease, which is my story, mood disorders like anxiety, depression. Guys, so many things are tied to your gut. So we're going to talk about getting to the root of your gut microbiome. But let's talk about, though, what the microbiome is. We actually have multi microbiomes on the human body. We have the stomach microbiome, the intestines. We have a microbiome on our skin. We have a urogenital tract microbiome. We even have a microbiome in our mouth and our respiratory system. But today and tonight, we're going to focus on the gut microbiome, right? So it includes bacteria, fungus, viruses, and it's vital to our survival, okay? There's some basic facts that to me is just fascinating. We have 100 trillion microorganisms on our body, right? 90% of all bacteria is in our gut. In fact, those bacterial cells outnumber our human cells 10 to 1. So we're basically 90% bacteria. And you know what's so funny? I can remember being a little kid and my mom telling me that I had all these little bugs all over my body. And back then I was like, you're crazy. She's like, no, like they're not, you can't see them. They're microscopic. But now I know that's what she was talking about, right? The bacteria cells that are on our body and in our body. And without them, both the good and the bad, we could not survive, right? We need them. Like we have them for a reason. The problems come when we get that out of balance, and we're going to talk about that later. But 70 to 80%, I've even seen studies that upwards of 90% of our immunity, right? And our immunity, guys, is our body's ability to fight off germs. It has never been more important than it is today in the day that we're living to have good immunity. Up to 90% of that I'm seeing resides in your gut. So if your gut is not taken care of, if it's not balanced, if it's out of whack, your immunity is going to be compromised. Harvard University calls our gut the second brain. The gut controls so much and has a direct line to our brain. They actually think it should be renamed separate from the digestive system, right? There's a huge component of the gut brain axis. And I'll tell you though that, you know, a lot of people have seen the quote of Hippocrates. He was the father of modern medicine. He actually has a quote that says, all disease begins in the gut. And I think he was onto something, right? And if you ask your doctor, if your doctor is up on current research in the past 10 years, they will tell you, as mine did. I have an endocrinologist down at the MD Anderson Cancer Center. She was the first medical doctor who really talked to me about gut health in relation to my disease. And she told me, she said, Amy, this is not something we're taught in medical school. We are not taught about gut health, right? And we're just now starting to pay attention to the science that's coming out of the microbiome. Oops, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So ask your doctor and they will tell you the same thing. In fact, microbiome research has been around for a while. I didn't realize this until 5 years ago when I really started digging into the research. Because here's the thing, once I started taking the Plexus Probiotics, my husband and I had major health changes. And I told you, he's a scientist. So he was like, wait a minute, why is all this happening from a silly little probiotic? So we dove into the research and we found that back in 2007, NIH, which is the National Institute of Health, they actually launched the Human Microbiome Project, where they began to map all of the bacteria on the human body. Similar to the Human Genome Project, which most of you guys probably are more familiar with. Guys, they've been doing this since 2007, right? So it's not new. It's just that people are finally starting to pay attention. And mark my words, especially now with the fallout from this pandemic, all you're going to hear about in the next 5 to 10 years is your gut, because it controls so much. So let's kind of get into exactly what it controls. What does it do? It controls everything from immunity to mood. It regulates immune function. It influences your hormone production. So the major hormones are estrogen, insulin, thyroid, right? Your cortisol, your testosterone, those are all influenced by your gut microbiome. It ferments undigestible food. It influences neurotransmitter production, right? Which is why it has that direct connection to your brain. It controls serotonin. It obviously helps with nutrient absorption and all of the things you would think around vitamin synthesis and absorption, around digestion. It also reduces toxicity for your liver by getting rid of a lot of those toxins, right? So it does a lot. But before I started diving into the research, I really thought it was just like digestion. But guys, it controls so much more, which is why you can hear so many incredible stories, like my husband said, from a silly little probiotic. How can this probiotic be so powerful that it helps someone with migraines and IBS and anxiety? And it's because of your gut. So there's a gut-brain connection. You heard me say that in that Harvard calls it the second brain. You can look up that study, and it's because of that gut-brain axis. The gut and the brain are actually connected via the vagus nerve and millions of other nerve pathways along the way, but it's a super highway of information. It goes both ways. Have you ever heard this saying, and I know you have, that you just have a gut feeling about something, right? Well, that's actually a real thing, because your gut is connected to your brain, right? So if you have mental stress, it can cause GI stress, right? If you're like, or vice versa. If you have some GI stress, it can cause mental stress. There's this blood-brain barrier, which is why we have this anxiety and depression connection. Whether it's something you've had forever or something you've just developed due to the stress of the current world we're living in, there is a connection between those mood disorders in your brain. And there are studies out there that show if you can change your gut bacteria and get it back into balance, you can actually change your mental health. Now, we're not a cure-all, be-all, but so many things are connected to your gut that when you can get it back into a balance, you alleviate so many other symptoms. Now, the gut also controls inflammation, which is huge, because inflammation in your body affects everything from brain function to weight gain to chronic pain. And it is just such a huge system in our body, which is why Harvard thinks it should be called a second brain and should be a different system than just the digestive system, because it's so, so powerful. So let's talk a little bit though about the role of bacteria, because we need it. You heard me say that we need that bacteria to survive, right? So in the human body, there's good bacteria and bad bacteria, and then there's opportunistic bacteria, right? And your microbiome in your gut actually has influence over all of that. So the balance between the good, the bad, and the opportunistic is really critical, because if one gets too out of control, that's when diseases start to happen. And we call that imbalance dysbiosis. When you have too much bad bacteria versus good, and that balance is thrown off, you have dysbiosis. And that's when toxins can get into your bloodstream, spores are released, you can have an inflammatory response, it breaks down your gut lining, things enter the bloodstream, and that's when you have all those symptoms of a leaky gut. It's been linked via the research to type 2 diabetes, IBS, obesity, cancer, heart disease, liver disease, autoimmune issues, mental health, Alzheimer's, and dementia. There's research out there that shows the role of those health issues and the bacteria in the gut. So it's really, really crucial for disease, that balance. Now, I want to back up a second though, because how do we even get our microbiome, right? Where does it come from? How do we get it? This was fascinating to me when I started researching this. So we actually get it during childbirth. You get the first gulp, you actually swallow the first gulp of bacteria when you go through the birth canal, when you're born. Now, many babies don't go through the birth canal, right? Due to no fault of their own or the mother's own, they have to have a C-section. But the first inoculation of the gut bacteria the baby is supposed to have comes through the birth canal. It's further developed through breastfeeding, right? The breast milk has additional bacteria that's crucial for that balance. And then it takes another 2 years to develop. So what I want you to think about are those babies who, through no fault of anyone's, and due to modern medicine, right? They don't go through the birth canal, they're not breastfed, and maybe for their first 2 years of life, they're on medications, or they're having other issues in their body. It throws off that balance in their gut almost immediately, right? And if you look at the studies between babies that go through the birth canal versus those that don't, they have different kind of foundations of different bacteria in their gut. So that's what can disrupt it right away. So if I have someone who tells me, oh my goodness, like I've had this since I was a kid, like I've always suffered with this health issue, well, it could be because you were maybe born into dysbiosis. But what else disrupts it? Lots of things, guys. And there are things we have to have that disrupt our microbiome that we cannot help it. They are necessary, but it's going to disrupt our microbiome, which is why it's so important for people to be on a probiotic, and a good probiotic, to always keep your gut in balance. So antibiotics, other drugs can disrupt the gut microbiome. As a kid, I always had earaches. We had a bottle of amoxicillin in my refrigerator as a kid all the time, like constant. One round of antibiotics disrupts your gut balance for 12 months, right? So it's no wonder I developed an autoimmune disease, because I developed dysbiosis from an early age. But other things that we can't control, like pollution, soils, that our soil nowadays doesn't have the nutrients we need, dental work, stress, infection, poor diet. Right now, guys, during this pandemic that we're living in, and we're in quarantine and we're not going anywhere, we're staying inside, people are using hand sanitizer like crazy, we're too clean. We're also getting rid of the good guys, the good bacteria, processed food, sugar, fake sugar. Guys, all of those things disrupt our gut. Many things we can't control. So it's through no fault of our own, but once you realize all the things that are disrupting it, that's when you get really excited about the things you can do to bring it back into balance. And again, if you suffered with something, there's still hope, right? Because oftentimes, now, many of our health issues are just because we are in dysbiosis. Now, that dysbiosis is again because of the candida. So here's what happens. I want you to look at this picture. I love this. And if I was not sharing it, I would show you here. I'm doing this with my hands, a healthy gut versus a leaky gut. So look on the left, okay? Those, if you put your fists together, you got tight junctions in between those cells in your gut. That's the intestinal lining, right? That's what that is. It's your intestinal cells. Tight junctions for a healthy gut. So if you notice, things like nutrients get absorbed, but other things like food particles and pathogens, they can't get into the bloodstream. The only thing in the bloodstream are your nutrients and your immune cells, okay? But as you start to take antibiotics, breathe polluted air, eat processed food, like have stress, all of these things that compromise our gut lining, you start to have these teeny tiny holes in between those intestinal cells. So see, they start to have those little holes. I know that's a gross picture on the right, but in those teeny tiny holes, then you have those junctions are loosened and things can get into your bloodstream. That's when the pathogens get into your bloodstream. Antibodies, undigested food particles. So people who have food allergies, but then once they heal their gut, the food allergy goes away. It's because when those food particles go into your bloodstream, your body has a reaction and goes to fight them off as a toxin. Then all of a sudden you're like allergic to chicken and you're like, what is happening, right? It's because of that leaky gut, okay? So that is what is happening in our gut. It's a really, really cool visual, because when any of those toxins enter our bloodstream, our body tries to do whatever it can to get rid of those toxins, right? And it's going to use any route it can to get rid of those toxins. Normally, our toxins go out through our liver and kidneys, but when the candida gets overgrown, it's going to compromise your immune function. You might have joint pain, you might have acne, you might have IBS, like any way it can get those toxins out, whether through regular methods or through like the skin, or it's going to try to get them off. That's when we get sick. That's when we start having all of those issues and we start feeling bad. Research even shows that the leaky gut, when that happens, can alter your cognitive development, emotions, and even behaviors. But hey, there's good news. Here's what I love. I'm solution focused. I've always been like a problem solver, right? Come with a solution. We actually can fix it. Guys, you can heal your microbiome. You can bring it back into balance, and you can do that for long-term wellness. It is never too late. I shared earlier on a call that my dad started healing his gut when he was in his mid-60s, and he has never felt better, and it is never too late. So how do we fix it? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how we weed, seed, feed, and protect our gut, right? So I want you to think of your gut microbiome as a garden. And you've got good and bad bacteria, and it's in good balance. But all of a sudden, the bad bacteria, the weeds, have taken over your garden, right? What would you do? You wouldn't just go plant more pretty flowers, right? No, if you have weeds in your garden, you don't just go plant a whole bunch more flowers and hope the weeds get crowded out. You actually pull the weeds, right? Or you spray some weed killer, you get rid of the weeds, then you plant more pretty flowers. That is what our triplex system does. Our probiotic is the only one on the market that weeds, it kills off that bad bacteria, right? So you must pull the weeds first, then you can seed it, then you can feed it, then you can protect it. And that's what we're gonna talk about here. So step one is weeding. Gotta weed the weeds, okay? Probio 5, this is the probiotic that people take and they're like, oh my goodness, I've done all the prescription probiotics. I've done all the super expensive probiotics. I've done the probiotics that had to be refrigerated, but I never felt a difference until Probio 5. And it's because it's more than just a probiotic, okay? Instead of just crowding out the bad guys, it has an antifungal that just kills them off, okay? That's why it works quickly, and people, you might have a little bit of die off because it's not wasting time trying to crowd off the bad guys. It just takes care of them, right? And then it also has good strains of 5 probiotics that replenishes the good and starts to heal your gut lining a little bit. And then it's got some digestive enzymes to also help break down those food particles even greater so they don't get into the bloodstream, right? So that's why Probio 5 is just so effective. And while people will tell you they notice a difference, like if they forget it one night, they can tell because it's just that powerful. It's gluten-free, non-GMO, no artificial colors, flavors, or preservatives. But think of it like an antifungal. It's like the weed spray or the weed killer in your garden, okay? In your gut garden. That's what Probio 5 does. You also, though, as you're killing off all of those toxins in your gut, the candida, the bad bacteria, you also have to eliminate them. And sadly, a lot of you guys are not eliminating it. I shared the story of my dad. I did not know until he reluctantly started Plexus that he only went to the bathroom maybe once a week. Guys, that's way more common than I realized, and that is not normal. So as you start to heal your gut, you have to eliminate. We have this saying that says 3 cars go into the car wash, 3 cars go out, right? So if you're eating 3 meals a day, you should be having 3 bowel movements a day. And if you're not, those toxins, that digested food, it's just getting reabsorbed into your bloodstream, okay? So BioCleanse is also part of that weeding, okay? It would almost be like cleaning a toilet with Probio 5 and then you don't flush it. You just let it sit there, right? You wouldn't do that because the gunk would just settle back down. That is what BioCleanse is. I actually wish they would change the name because people think it's like a colon cleanse and it freaks them out a little bit, but it's just a magnesium and a bioflavonoid blend. So it's not like a laxative. It's not that kind of magnesium. It actually oxygenates your body. So it helps you remove waste. I was regular before I started taking this, but I take this because it oxygenates my body. It helps kill off those pathogens that get into the bloodstream. It supports collagen production and just a really, really good supplement. So if you're taking Probio 5, that's step 1, but you want to make sure you're taking BioCleanse so your body is not reabsorbing all of those toxins. Then we have step 2. So you weed the garden, you're replenishing a little bit to heal the gut, right? To heal those kind of perforated holes with Probio 5. Then you want to seed it with even more probiotics. That's where Microbiome comes in. It's actually 8 clinical strains of just good probiotics. There's nothing else in this product. So I've been on Plexus for almost 6 years. I've been on the Triplex, which is the pink drink, the BioCleanse, and the Probio 5. Recently, pre-COVID, I started seeing a holistic MD. He's a functional medicine doctor and a functional neurologist. And he told me to start taking Microbiome regularly. Now, Microbiome, the cool thing about it, it's actually specifically formulated and clinically proven for that gut-brain axis, okay? It stabilizes stress hormones, it promotes relaxation, and it helps people with anxiety. I didn't have any of that, so I never took Vital but he said, absolutely not. You need to be taking it because of those 8 strains to seed your gut. It's just so good, because the more good you have in there, the more you're balanced. It's going to boost my immunity. It's going to keep me happy. It's going to help that gut brain connection. So I really love Vital Biome. And a lot of people will ask me, well, if I'm taking Vital Biome, do I still need Probio 5? Yes, because you need to weed the garden all of the time. I had a glass of wine tonight. That glass of wine is upsetting the balance in my gut, but I'm okay because I know I'm taking my Probio 5 to help keep those bad guys at bay, right? So then we feed our gut. So you've weeded the garden, you've seeded it, now you got to put some fertilizer on it to help it grow, right? And that's where the pink drink comes in. Again, I kind of wish they'd change the name, because people see this and think it's just like a weight loss stick, and it is so not that. It's about blood sugar control. It helps balance your hormones, regulates inflammation. One of them helps with hunger control, helps reduce cravings, and they both have prebiotics to feed your gut. So guys, blood sugar stabilization is huge. Even for people who are not pre-diabetic or diabetic, our blood sugars spike and dip all day long. As they spike and dip, it affects every other hormone. For me, it was affecting my thyroid. So all of those years of having like the 3 o'clock hangries or the 3 o'clock crash, I didn't realize it was also affecting my thyroid. So it's really incredible. And the fact that it has prebiotics, so it feeds our gut, I just love it. And the reason I was comfortable starting on this, because you heard me say I was a skeptic. See that pretty pink color, guys? 0 artificial color, 0 preservatives. That color actually comes from a vegetable. So it's free of all of the junk that is just in so much of our food today. This actually helps heal our gut, and I absolutely love it. Then we want to protect it. So you might have a garden and you want to protect it. Maybe you put a fence around it to keep the deer from eating it. That's kind of what we're going to do with our gut. We're going to take it a step further, and once we've killed off the bad guys, right, we have seeded it with the good guys, and then we're feeding it to keep the good guys populating. We want to protect it from harmful invaders, and that's what X Factor and X Factor Plus does. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Even pre-pandemic, immunity was a big thing for my family. We lived in an RV for a year. We traveled the country with our 4-year-old daughter at the time. Back then, we were not people crazy hand washers. I did not keep antibacterial gel everywhere, because I believe that we need dirt, like we need germs. So on that entire RV trip, not one time did we get sick. Not one time did my daughter have a runny nose. And we were at campgrounds all across the country, playgrounds, amusement parks, different RV parks, right? In all different places, different climates with temperature changes, altitude changes. And I believe it's because of the system, because our guts were so healthy. Doesn't mean we couldn't get the germs, but our body is so capable of fighting them off. Or on the one chance we do get it, it's gone in a day. And that is this final step. That is what X Factor and X Factor Plus does. It's got the vitamins and the minerals, but we take it a step further with that aloe. Aloe actually helps your body absorb the food you eat up to 300 times better. Okay, when I started taking this, I was able to get off super doses of other vitamins, and I was able to notice physical changes like in my hair and my nails and energy, because it's methylated and bioavailable. Not only can your body absorb the vitamins and nutrients that are in X Factor, then it can actually use them for what your body needs them for. So I love this system. We call it the Triplex. Many of you guys have started on the Triplex. Many of you guys have been talking about the Triplex, but this is huge. It's a proven system for wellness, for immunity. And a lot of people start it for weight loss. It does help you with weight loss, but that's kind of a bonus side effect to getting healthy, right? I spent years thinking that you had to lose weight to be healthy. Turns out it's the other way around. You got to be healthy to lose weight. Now, we also, though, are starting, we've announced a kids line because we want generational impact. Our company, it's not enough for us to be healthy in the here and now. As a mom, I want to be healthy today, but I'm an older mom. I'm almost 43. I need to be healthy way in the future. I want my daughter to be healthy way in the future. So we have two things for kids that I absolutely am so excited about. Because I don't know about you guys, my kiddo does not eat 5 fruits and veggies every single day. She doesn't. Today she had French onion soup for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with bread. Like, that's what she wanted. But I feel good because we have this microbiome drink for kiddos. It's got prebiotics. It actually has 3 ingredients in it that's in breast milk: choline, DHA, and lutein. Huge. It's clinically proven for brain health, eye health. It's got omegas in it that are really, really important for kids, especially boys. And then the vitamin, the X Factor Kids, is a multivitamin and a probiotic in one. So they're getting 13 essential vitamins, but they're also getting 4 strains of probiotics that are clinically proven to help with digestive discomfort. A lot of kiddos nowadays, guys, are constipated. I have so many mama friends that have their kids on laxatives and other things for constipation. We have got a healthier solution to help those kiddos, get their bodies moving. It also reduces the constipation or diarrhea either end of the spectrum, because when you're balanced, you're going to come in from either side. It also helps support that intestinal yeast. And in my house, I let my kiddo get away with a lot, but mama puts her foot down for these. I make her take her kids' vitamin and her microbiome every single day because I know the effect it has on her health. And while she's under my roof, I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure she's as healthy as she can. So listen, we have tons of products that are all natural, that are all about healing from the inside out. I'm not going to talk about them all tonight. We have way too many incredible products now, but we do have a wellness lounge. The person that invited you tonight, if you want to learn about more products, have them add you to the wellness lounge. You can do all of your own searching for all of the products. What I love about them, though, is that they all have a purpose and they work synergistically. We don't just jump on a bandwagon because it's like the hot thing. We spend years in research and development before we put a product to market, and they all have a purpose. Even our fat burner, MetaBurn, which is one of our newest products, is good for you. It has these adaptogenic herbs that's actually beneficial for my thyroid, right? And our ease is incredible for people who have chronic pain, and everything is all natural. So I encourage you guys to do your research. Get on the website, look at all the ingredients, and then go do a Google Scholar research on all of our ingredients so you can see for yourself all of the clinical studies around them, how effective they are. So I want to really quickly, though, talk about how to order. A lot of people are like, okay, well, how do I order? Chat with the person who shared Plexus with you to find out what's best for you. There's 3 ways to order. Not everyone is ready to be a wholesale customer. Not everyone should be a preferred customer. It really just depends on what you are ready to do and your level of commitment for your health. When I finally decided to try Plexus, I knew I was all in and I was going to give it a solid 90 days. And I was going to do the full triplex for my thyroid because that's what they said might help. So I was going to commit and do it. And so I went with the wholesale link. And then I got my mom, my best friend, and my college roommate to do it with me. They used my referral link. They got a discount. I got a discount, and we all got healthy together. But that's not, that's not what everybody wants to start with. So I would be amiss, though, if I did not share this opportunity with you guys. You heard me say 5 years ago, I wanted nothing to do with this business at all. Absolutely not. My books are on the back wall. I'm an author. I was an executive in higher education, and I thought network marketing was below me. I thought I was too smart, too educated. But this has been the biggest blessing, and it's where opportunity and wellness meet, especially during this crazy pandemic. Our businesses, for those of us who are sharing these products because people need them, they are exploding, and there are 0 gotchas or fine print with Plexus. We're different than any company out there. In fact, one of our mottos and our mission is that we do network marketing the way it could be done, should be done, and often rarely is. Guys, I'll tell you, I just went in before I jumped on this call with my husband and my daughter, because I just deposited a 5-figure paycheck from Plexus, and I work from my phone, and my daughter's home with me all day. And I said, can we just as a family take a minute to be grateful and blessed and realize how blessed we are that I just deposited that check into our checking account, and I get to hang out with Adelaide all day, and I'm doing this from my phone, and I don't have to commute anymore. And they all said, yeah. And my husband was like, yes, like this is such an incredible opportunity. I have an LLC. I have an assistant. We don't get paid a monopoly money. It's real money. But I love that there's no inventory. I was an executive. I didn't have time to keep inventory. I didn't have time to do anything other than just share something that I was excited was working for me, or that I hoped was going to work for me. We have no quotas, no forced purchases. You do not have to actually buy anything to get a paycheck, which is very rare in this industry. And there's zero fine print. Right now, because of this pandemic, our executives have pulled money from their reserves. They are giving bonuses away like crazy. If you get started on this gut health system yourself and you help 3 friends do it with you, you're going to get at least $300 this month. And I know during this pandemic, that's huge. That's grocery money. That's a car payment. For some people, that's even rent. So here's the income chart. Again, I am a Sapphire. My husband is a senior Ruby. You can see what the average yearly income is for that. It could change everything. I like to tell people that sometimes, so I was an executive and I had a commute and I was over the commute and I was praying for something to change, and Plexus came up and I kept saying no, right? That is not what I wanted or I thought I wanted. But sometimes, guys, the answer to your prayers is different than what you think it would be. It's going to look like. So I just want you to think, what if? What if I actually leaned into this? What if I said yes? What if I did what this person, Amy, who's talking to me on this video, she gave it a year. I gave it a year. What if? What if? Okay, so do not put this off the table. It has been the biggest blessing, especially now. We closed on a new house during this pandemic, and for a hot second, we were going to take our money and shove it under our mattress because we didn't know what was going to happen to the economy. But the fact that with my Plexus business, I cannot be laid off, I cannot be furloughed, and it covers our mortgage, we felt comfortable moving forward. My husband works in oil and gas, and when we went to close on this house, oil went to negative $30 a barrel. So we had kind of a freak out moment, but it was such a blessing to know that because of my Plexus business, we're going to be okay. So I just want you to think, what if? And if you do not make time for wellness, my friends, you will be forced to make time for illness. So take care of your health now so you do not have to worry about it later. If there are any health issues you have, please, I encourage you to go do a Google Scholar research around a leaky gut and around your health issue. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. I will upload the recording. If you have any questions, please ask the person that invited you. Bye, guys.